برایان هوک، نماینده ویژه آمریکا برای ایران. شاید بیش از 1000 نفر در اعتراضات ایران در بیش از 100 شهر کشته شده‌اند.
فقط در ماه شهر بیش از 100 نفر را کشته و اجساد آنها را با کامیون بردند. ما گزارش‌هایی داریم که صدها نفر در تهران و در اطراف آن کشته شده‌اند.
I have three announcements today on Iran, but I will first start by addressing the atrocities the Iranian.
برایان هوک، نماینده ویژه آمریکا برای ایران، در یک کنفرانس مطبوعاتی در روز پنجشنبه 14 آذر درباره قیام مردم ایران و ابعاد سرکوب و کشتار توسط دیکتاتوری آخوندی گفت: ما گزارش‌هایی داریم که صدها نفر در تهران و در اطراف آن کشته شده‌اند. واقعیت‌ها کم کم از ایران به بیرون درز می‌کند. به نظر می‌رسد رژیم بیش از 1000 ایرانی را از زمانی که اعتراضها آغاز شده کشته است. در میان افراد کشته شده حداقل 10 نوجوان 13 و 14 ساله هستند. وی افزود هزاران ایرانی زخمی شدند و حداقل 7000 معترض در زندان‌های ایران زندانی شدند. این وخیم‌ترین بحران سیاسی است که رژیم در 40 سال عمر خود دیده است. این رژیم در هر دهه‌ای که در قدرت بوده بخش‌های بزرگتری از جامعه را از دست داده است. همه اعتراضها متوجه یک مافیای فاسد مذهبی است که در 40 سال گذشته مردم خود را به قتل رسانده است. اینکه می‌گفتند تحریم‌ها مردم را گرد این رژیم متحد خواهد کرد، چنین چیزی واقع نشد.
ما گزارشاتی دیده ایم که معترضین در زمان بازجویی در معرض بدرفتاری و تحقیر، ضرب و شتم خودسرانه و تجاوز قرار گرفتند. زندان قرچک بزرگترین زندان زنان در ایران است. این زندان به شرایط غیرقابل تحمل معروف است، از جمله تعرضات مستمر و رفتار نامناسب زندانبانان با زنان. برایان هوک همچنین گفت زمان آن فرا رسیده است که همه کشورها در کنار مردم ایران قرار بگیرند، رژیم ایران را در زمینه دیپلماتیک منزوی کنند و افرادی را که مسئول قتل مردم بیگناه ایران هستند تحریم نمایند. در 20 نوامبر 29 آبان یک ناو آمریکا یک کشتی رژیم ایران را که به یمن میرفت توقیف کرد. این کشتی قطعات پیچیده موشک‌های ضد کشتی را با خود می‌برد. تعیین 15 میلیون دلار جایزه برای پیدا کردن و دستگیری عبدالرضا شهلایی از سرکردگان سپاه پاسداران به خاطر رساندن کمک‌های مالی رژیم به یمن، ارسال سلاح برای مزدوران در عراق و حمله به نیروهای آمریکا در کربلا.
Good morning. I have three announcements today on Iran. But I will first start by addressing the atrocities the Iranian regime has committed against its own people. On November 16th, protests were spreading throughout the country. In Maushar, a city in southwest Iran, a number of Iranian demonstrators blocked a road. The State Department has received videos of what happened next. Without warning, the IRGC opened fire on the protesters, killing several people. Many of the protesters fled to nearby marshlands to escape. The IRGC tracked them down and surrounded them with machine guns mounted on trucks. They then sprayed the protesters with bullets. Between the rounds of machine gun fire, the screams of the victims can be heard. In this one incident alone, the regime murdered as many as 100 Iranians and possibly more. When it was over, the regime loaded the bodies into trucks. We do not yet know where these bodies went, but we are learning more and more about how the Iranian regime treats its own people. We have seen reports of many hundreds more killed in and around Tehran, and as the truth is trickling out of Iran, it appears the regime could have murdered over 1,000 Iranian citizens since the protests began. We cannot be certain because the regime blocks information. Among those murdered are at least a dozen children, including 13 and 14-year-olds. We have received reports from family members of victims who tried to recover the bodies. The authorities demanded that the families first pay the cost of the bullets they used. In many cases, authorities would not hand over the bodies until their family promised not to hold public funerals. Many thousands of Iranians have been wounded, and at least 7,000 protesters have been detained in Iran's prisons. Many of these protesters have been sent to two prisons, the Great Tehran Penitentiary and Garchak Prison. We have seen reports that protesters have been subject to abuse and mistreatment during interrogations, arbitrary beatings, and rape. The United States calls for the immediate release of all protesters detained in prison, as well as all the political prisoners currently held by the regime. Now is the time for all nations to stand with the Iranian people, diplomatically isolate the regime, and sanction those officials who are responsible for murdering innocent Iranians. It is clear there is a bipartisan consensus that the regime's treatment of the Iranian people is abhorrent and unacceptable. We are unified here in the United States, and the international community likewise should be unified and support the Iranian people. They are sick of the regime squandering its wealth on proxy warfare, which leads only to economic pressure and diplomatic isolation. Unfortunately, this is exactly what the Iranian regime continues to do, even while the Iranian people were filling the streets calling for an end to sectarian adventurism. On November 25th, a U.S. warship conducted a flag verification boarding in international waters off the coast of Yemen. We interdicted a significant hoard of weapons and missile parts, evidently of Iranian origin. It is also further evidence of how Iran repeatedly violates the UN arms embargo, which has been in place for over a decade. Also relating to Yemen, I am announcing today that the State Department's Rewards for Justice program is offering up to $15 million for information on the financial activities, networks, and associates of Abdul Reza Shalahi. He is a Yemen-based, high-ranking commander of the IRGC's Quds Force. We call on the international community to join us in holding Iran accountable for its acts of terror, both against the nations of the world and against the Iranian people. At last count, over 32,000 people have submitted.
Some of them the same thing, though.
Well, we're going through all of it, but that's how many we've received, more than 32,000.
But so far, this is the most egregious
Yes.
incident that you've okay. And then on the it's possible that more than 1,000 people have been
Right.
killed total since the protest began. That's quite a lot higher. That figure is a lot higher than what other numbers have been floating around. What do you base that on?
Well, this is based on, some of it is, it's a collection of crowdsourcing intelligence, reports from groups that have been publishing the death toll. As the regime has slowly restored the internet, we have more videos and more information leaking from the country. And so we know for certain it is many, many hundreds. And if you remember in the 2009 Green Revolution, which I think lasted for 10 months, you had, if memory serves, 72 people who were killed. And we are now at the many hundreds, perhaps over 1,000. And this, look, we had protests in 100 cities. And we saw how the regime responded. The supreme leader referred to his own people as thugs. And this was a brutal crackdown.